can't give up.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to record today's show. Hopefully I'll be able to edit it and then upload it on YouTube so that we still, get the essence of the message today as soon as all of our guests join us. So continue, please, Dr. Abu.
Hello, hi.
Rise up, Sister Zamora.
Oh, what did I do?
You okay?
Oh, sorry. Is my microphone on?
Your mic is on and we're all hearing you loud and clear.
Oh,
on,
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Greetings, family. Blessed rising, everybody. Oh, my dear. I'm so sorry. My apologies.
No problem.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's
my
okay.
microphone mute?
It's family. Dr. Abu, that's all right. Continue.
Well, it's just life. Things happen, things happen. And the whole thing that we're going through is a prevention of us going through. And we have to start to understand these things. This is not conspiracy. This is real life thing that we're going through as a people. This whole pandemic is to stop us from developing ourselves both here and in the motherland. But some of us, we don't fully understand because some people doesn't see it as the motherland. Some people still see somewhere else as promised land. And I know in the promised land mentally. You understand?
We hear you on that, Dr. Abu. And the statistics bear out exactly what you were talking about. If we had a look pre-COVID at Africa's performance as a continent, I think it's something like 6 out of 10 of the top performing countries in the world were African countries. Africa, in terms of its GDP, was rising. It may not have trickled down to the masses to the extent that we would have wanted to see it, but it would have been getting there because their economies were booming. And we knew also that simultaneously what was happening was the American and the EU economy was starting to crash. In fact, their economists were saying that the bottom was going to be falling out of their economy at any time soon. Their economists were predicting a recession. They were spending more than they were producing. Their economy was in trouble. Well, this big C has very conveniently put the brakes on the world economy and has also created a scenario and a situation where the world is borrowing from a broken bank. But hey, if you can just print money, you can print billions and trillions of it, can't you? And the irony of it is that they're going to and have printed billions and billions of dollars, which they've loaned to all these African countries that have greedily gone and accepted these loans. And now what's going to happen is these African countries, obviously at some point, are going to have to repay all of these loans. And what do we think is going to happen when they can't repay the loan? They're going to find that their assets are going to be seized. Okay, so for bits of paper, they could lose their airports, they could lose their ports, they could lose, a gold mine. And then here we will be in 200 years' time, wondering how it was some of these African leaders were so hoodwinked into selling out their ports and their airports, for example, for bits of paper, bits of colorful paper that, we've all been hoodwinked into giving so much value to, We need to get out of their matrix and we need to start doing for self. Any comments on that from anyone in the house? Still waiting for my guests and my other guests to join.
But is the same thing happening in the family when we have a junkie in the family and then come in and sell out all the family jewels and all the everything? What I'm saying is, that's the behavior of a junkie. It's like we as a people, we are addicted to this colonialism and white privilege, and it caused us to have bad eyesight, bad memory, bad everything when it comes to us to do things. And, that's a junkie behavior, see. And until, you said, as long as we keep on practicing the things them that the enslaver give to us, we will never be free. Simple as that, sis. You know, we got to turn to our own principle, our own narrative. That's the only thing.
Absolutely. Yes, most definitely. I agree with you on that. Okay. Unfortunately, one of our guests, our brother Dickon, is saying that he's unable to join us now due to the delays. So we've lost that guest. Not heard from Dr. Yashantiwa. She was on YouTube. I have sent her the link. Hopefully she will be able to join us. Let me just check. Dr. Ya, are you in the house? Not in the house. Okay. And I've not seen Brother Kwame Gonza either in the house. You know, but Dr. Abu, I'll tell you one thing. You have stood by me throughout the last 16 months on these shows. I tell you, you have been there like a staunch soldier, 100%. And I just want to thank you so much for being as supportive as you have been on these shows. And, you know, it's great, family, to have a supporter in your corner. We've, as I've said, you know, because of the difficulty, one of our guests now, one of our main speakers, is unable to join us. Let me just check. Sister Yar, do we have you in the house? Dr. Yara Shantiwa hasn't been able to join us yet either. Okay, well, I think we're going to have to change the agenda. We're going to have to change the program, or we could still do a little bit on leadership and, you know, have more involvement from those of you who are on this platform. How about that? Let's hear from you for the last show for the year. What do you think, Dr. Abu? We hear from the family in the house?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a family. This is a family meeting.
A family meeting. Love that. Love that. Okay, family. So we'd love to hear from you about leadership. Maybe if you don't want to talk, you can just make some comments in the chat. But, you know, what are your thoughts on leadership? What do you think is actually needed for the leaderships for 2022 and beyond? What sort of leaders do we need that's going to take us into the 22nd century even, you know, as a powerful and formidable people? And when I think of powerful leaders, there have been so many of them. But one I had in mind that I wanted to talk about today was Queen Candice. And she's really special to me because, you know, the Europeans celebrate someone who they call Alexander of Macedonia. Some call him Alexander the Great, some call him Alexander the Gay, or Alexander of Macedonia, because that's where he was born. And Alexander, he was referred to as the King of Kings. And he was born back in the year 356 BC in Macedonia. And he was tutored by a philosopher, Aristotle, until he was the age of 16. He became king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia. And over a 13-year period, he led a military campaign against Persia, India, from Greece. He was just conquering as he went. He conquered from Greece right the way across Asia Minor, right the way into India, a great stretch of land. And, you know, I might even be able to bring up the presentation. And, you know, he is a highly celebrated European. And most of you have probably heard about him in your mainstream education. And I heard a lot about Alexandra as well. But what I didn't hear about was one woman who actually stopped Alexandra of Macedonia from actually conquering the continent. Now, he got as far as Egypt, but then before he could penetrate beyond Egypt, there was a queen by the name of Queen Candice, who was a military woman, a strategist, and, you know, was very highly regarded during her time. And the story goes that Queen Candice, and that Candice is a name given to women rulers at that time in ancient Ethiopia. And when she heard that Alexandra was coming towards, well, he was coming through Egypt and that he was going to be pressing beyond the first cataract, she decided that she was going to get her army to meet him at the first cataract. And the story goes that when he arrived, she was there, straddled across her 2 elephants. Her throne was straddled across 2 elephants, and she stood on top of her throne and she waited for him to show up. And when he came and saw her, he halted. Because there she was with her great Nubian army, you know, of big, strong African men and women waiting there. And she advised, the legend goes, she advised Alexandra and said to him, you know, you need to leave this region immediately. And if you refuse, she said, after defeating your army, I will cut off your head and roll it down a hill. Well, after Alexander had been doing so well, conquering from Greece all the way to India, he decided that he didn't want to be beaten by a woman. He decided that he didn't want to risk this Nubian army against his troops. So what he did, he decided to turn around. So this woman, you know, this great African queen, yeah, who stood on her elephant throne and warned off, you know, Alexander the so-called Great, is a woman who we should all know about in history, a great leader. There she was at the front, leading from the front, you know, and yet we hear so little about this wonderful woman leader and conqueror. And there are so many leaders like her in our history whom, you know, we don't hear enough about. So she had the quality, leadership quality to lead from the front, you know, and it's not like today. Most of those who are waging wars against other countries, they're in their bunkers or they're in their smoke-filled room and they're, you know, giving the orders from their safe haven. You know, no, back then, you know, as African women even, you know, and as African leaders, it was about leading from the front. What do you think it takes to be a leader? Dr. Abu, let me allow you to come in and then I'm going to open the floor for anyone in the room to jump in and join us. Dr. Abu, in your opinion, what does it take to be a good leader that can lead Africa, you know, to a higher level than where she is today?
One who knows of self, one with principle, and a one with discipline. You know, that those empress that you talk about, they were not certified at Harvard or Oxford or Cambridge, or you understand? They were certifying their own things. We can't have these certified people that certified by the West, and we expect them to lead us to prosper. You know, no, it's not. You understand? I'm not saying that. You know, many who know themselves, you know, aware of themselves, you know, because they said consciousness is awareness. What we pay attention to is what we become conscious of. Mm-hmm. And I come to the realization that many Africans are not really conscious of African. You understand? You know, a few days ago, there was all singing Silence Night. But you tell me when did we ever have a silence night? And this is what, and this is type of leaders them that we don't want. We want someone who can go back. We want leaders who is thinking about restoration. Not no repair, because we have a lot of repair people were repaired by colonialism, and they're not too sound right, because then just come out, some of them want to be German, some of them want to be British, someone that want to be French, some want to be Portuguese, and this is all because of fixing. We have to move away from fixing and move towards restoration. So we want to go back to that source and come out of the colonial clutches. Voodoo.
Voodoo, rise up, Dr. Abu. Thank you for sharing your vision of what it takes to be a good, powerful, strong leader. We need to have a knowledge of self, very, very important self, as well as discipline, etc. What do you say? Does anybody on the platform want to contribute to tell us and share with us your view of what makes a great leader? Just jump in.
Greetings, family. This is Paul again.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is Paul. I like what you just brought on the floor, Sister Shanice, and the contribution of Dr. Abu. And indeed, it goes back to realizing who you are. So many people, because of being in the Babylon system, our identity was taken away. And so we really don't know ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We don't know there's something called higher self, mirror self, shadow self, all these things. We are not aware. We are just told, okay, call on the Holy Spirit, call on, I don't know, all these things that don't have power. Now, just to come back to your question about being a good leader, is first of all, of course, knowing yourself. After knowing who you are, that one will lead to other things will just unfold. Today, many people may not perhaps be aware of this, but the world today is led, or leaders are leading using magic. Now, why do I say that? Today, we have, if you go to Vatican, not many of us are privileged, can access, but we have what is hidden from us called the Black Madonna. If you learn about Black Madonna, that's what the Babylon relies on. They will go behind the curtains, go and seek powers, and then come back and rule the world. On the other hand, the rest of us have been given a photocopy, not even a photocopy, something else that doesn't have power. So knowing who you are, it will lead you into the spiritual. You cannot be a good leader if you do not tap into the spiritual. Like the queen you just talked about, I think she was so confident because she understood, or she realized who she was. And there's no way she could just have gone there and met Alexandria if she did not have the backing in terms of spirituality. I doubt. If today people will just realize and call on our ancestors, some of these things you will just know, okay, you are a leader. Sometimes it's not that to become a leader, you must go to Harvard University, you must go to whatever university to get some degrees. No, it's just about understanding yourself and the spirit talking to you and giving you that power. We are spirits before even, someone said that we are spiritual beings. How is it put? We are spiritual experience. With having this physical experience. So there's no way you can change that. If you change that, it will just lead you to kind of destruction, and that's what the Babylon system did to us. They changed us, they removed us from that lane of spirituality, And so we are just, it's like taking a lion from, taking a lion and you want to cage it. That when that lion is young and you cage it, that lion will never realize the power it has. It will just be there like a dog, like a domestic dog or anything, So it will not, it'll never. And that's what the system has done to most of us, if not all of us. So we don't realize who we are. Being a leader tomorrow, you must tap into, understand the spiritual background, understand what is it that when you do, actually, you will not even go that far. The spirits themselves will talk to you. Right now, right now, because of this awakening period, many people have realized who they are. And you realize even the water, if someone will go to take water, speak to that water, and you find the water communicates back. But if the water is not the real water, the spirit in you will just tell you, no, this water is not good. But before, we were so blind, we were not seeing that. Even food right now, you'll go see meat, you look at this meat, in you, you are like, this meat, the spirit speaks to you. This meat has got too much chemical, you eat it, 2 months down the line, you'll start having problems. So you find, right now, because of that, you go to a forest, you are just communicating because you are part of nature. You are part of nature, and nature will communicate back to you.
Yeah.
It will only communicate back to you if you are in the right frequency. But if the frequency has been tampered with, there is no way, even if you become a leader to lead, I don't know what, you just meet a queen who will defeat you like Alexandra was defeated, because you must just understand who you are, connect back, go back to your spiritual, to your roots, and from there you'll be guided. Whether you become a leader or a teacher, whatever. But all that we do, we must get the guidance from our roots. Once we go back there, good. Black Madonna, let's try to find out how come the Babylon system is refusing to return those sculptures, those artifacts that they stole from Africa, because they have some power. Ethiopia wanted it. There is an image or a sculpture that was stolen from Ethiopia, and it is so sacred that the Ethiopian government wants it back, but the British government is refusing. They are saying they can only loan it. So I don't know what that means really. They can only loan it, or they can only give it out for a certain period of time, and then they come for it again. So if really this thing doesn't have any value, or it doesn't have any power, how come they are not letting it go? So the power is in these things, and our ancestors, I don't think they just woke up and started making just these things without being led into the spirit on what to do. Talk of the pyramids that some of us know about. Those pyramids didn't just, they were not just built like you could just wake up and put up a house. These things were, they were being led by the spirit. and you realize you go in there, there's lots of information that you learn, and that's what the Babylon system has been relying on up to today.
Mhm.
So in us, there is greatness to lead.
Mhm.
In us, there is we can tap into the spirituality, we can tap into our higher selves
Mhm.
and communicate deeply with the universe, communicate deeply with Mother Nature, communicate deeply with the stars. It's not that when you die is when you go to, you can go to the star system while you are still alive. You can go to the moon while you are still here.
Mhm.
It's just about how you are prepared and which kind of frequency are you having around you. So to be a leader, let's go back to the roots. To be a leader, let's understand who we are. To be a leader, let's come out of the Babylon system. If whatever we say here we say and we still remain into this system, then we are not going anywhere, because the system has been designed to make sure that we remain this way, to make sure that we remain like sheep. Uh, this animal, this domestic animal called sheep. Uh, a hyena could come in and start eating uh, these sheep, and they will not even make noise. But a goat, where you have put many goats, when a hyena walks in, you will hear some noise.
Mhm.
Oh, the system has made us to be like these sheep.
Yes.
We are being killed, we are being done whatever they are doing, and we cannot even make noise. We don't have a voice. We are just there. But how I pray that we just go back to our roots and understand and realize who we are, and that's it. Thank you very much, everyone.
We thank you,
Yeah.
Brother Paul. What a powerful, powerful contribution. You know, we have to tap into the right frequency, because when we tap into the right frequency, we can hear from the universe, be guided by the universe. We'll be able to read the stars as our ancestors were able to. We'll be able to acquire knowledge on another level like our ancestors were able to, that enabled them to build the pyramids and the like. That is a phenomenal contribution. And you spoke about the Black Madonna and the importance of spirituality. And that's something that I actually made some notes of on quite recently. But before I go to the note, someone did have their hand up. I think it was Sandy. Sandy, did you have your hand up? Do you still want to jump in here?
Thank you. I kind of lost track because it was just really interesting in what the brother was just saying. So I totally kind of lost like what I was going to say, but he was speaking about spiritual.
Yeah.
And speaking, I'm a 52-year-old woman. I would only say I've really been awoke over the last 2 years. All praises to the Most High. But I'm learning about spiritual and connecting and seeing that it can be a leading representative for me. I'll just share just a little experience with a friend of mine, Grenadian friend of mine. I think she's on the chat now, but we speak at length, and she's so spiritual. She's a sister that I can really connect with, and I put words, like things, feelings, thoughts, and everything to her in regards to like what I'm feeling, and she always pushes me towards connecting with the spirit, connecting with the self, and allowing it to guide me. So I think what I'm trying to say is just by I had an experience. I just was walking. She asked me to go into the park, go and walk. find a tree, stand up by a tree, you know, find the softness of the tree, connect to the tree, feel the tree connecting with yourself, all things like that, and listen, or, you know, try and connect to what's going on here, which I did. And I really, truly believe that I was connecting. But like I said, at the age of 52, I'm like a babe in this, I'm on milk. So your leaders are the ones that are connected. They've already been connected. They will hand it down, i.e., you're being handed down to Sister Shanice. Maybe you don't understand, maybe you don't fully see it, but you're already being handed down to. It could be that you have to navigate a certain people together in order to begin a process of leadership. Brother Abu, you speak so, I love the way I love to hear your strength in the way that you talk. Same with jammers. It's about the spirits could be bringing you together to do something in order to find that leader, because it's not going to be one person. It's going to be the spirits, and the spirits are many. So in leading, it's not, yeah, I would say what makes a good leader, one that is in tune with the spirit and with self. Sorry, I went off track there, but I mean, I was trying to,
Fine.
I can't remember what I was going to say, but
Fine,
thank you.
fine. Good, thanks.
No, brilliant contribution, Sister Gandhi, and the power that we can get from meditation and through walking, you know, and being at one with nature. Let me bring in a couple more people from the platform on this, and then I think let's go down this road of the importance of the right spirit for a leader to have. Yeah, with Sylvia, come in.
Okay, thank you, Sister Shanice. I've been watching you for a long time, and so I really appreciate your platform, and I appreciate your leadership. And I just wanted to piggyback off of something that Dr. Abu, or two things Dr. Abu said. First, he mentioned frequency, mentioned principle. I think the frequency that we are on is Blackness that makes whiteness uncomfortable. And because your Blackness has made whiteness uncomfortable, we experience those different obstacles today. And then speaking to the principles, again, these are things that I see displayed through your platform, and you and the people that you have as guests. The principles are Black intelligence, Black empowerment, Black progression, Black self-esteem, Black economic independence, strong Black masculinity, and Black love. Now, I don't know where I got that list from, because I listened to a lot of different people, so I can't tell you, but I know it's in my notebook. And so immediately when you talked about leadership and what you would like to see in leaders, I could go to that page immediately in my notebook, and it came right there. And so I'm just so grateful for this platform, for this opportunity, for the knowledge that you have gathered and shared with us on a regular basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Sylvia. Thank you for your encouragement. And what a beautiful list. What a wonderful list indeed. Thank you. Let's go over to Malanga. Welcome.
Hello. I'll try and be as quick as possible. I'm a Zimbabwean. I've been living in England for a few years now. But I love your show, and I learn so much from you guys every single week. I'd like to agree with Dr. Abu. He's always talking about this thing called addiction to supremacy. And that thing is what we need to get rid of. or we're not going to move.
Mhm.
And if you look at all other races, if you look at the dominant people, they've got their Harrods and their Cambridge universities where they groom leaders. This thing that we call elections, that's an illusion. They've already taught their people what to do from a young age. And by the time they get into power, they might be blue or they might be red, but they know what they're doing. They know their agenda. Same as Asians. They've got their Gujarati schools. They make provisions. They've always got their grandma where they send their children over the weekends. So when they get into politics, they change things from within. And you can see how they're dominating in politics here in the UK and in America. They're making strides, whilst we are still lagging behind. So I would say, well done to the people who've been pulling their weight. We need to continue following the people who've been leading us, but we also need to build some new structures. I was thinking more on the lines of saying, since Pan-Africanism is now the big thing, we need an institution which can maybe enroll 2 people from each country in Africa and the Caribbean, where they can learn what our agenda is and what we seek to achieve. Because unless we get the right mindset, we're seeing the same mistakes being repeated over and over again by our African and Caribbean leaders. They spend the first term in office just doing Western politics, which has got nothing to do with us. All it does is degrades Africa and Caribbean. Then second term of office, they try to become a little bit radical, but it's too late. And often there's no one else who has the same mindset. So they get taken out of power and somebody comes and starts the cycle over again. This is what keeps happening. If we don't build something from the foundation, we're going to see repeat after repeat after repeat. And it's getting scary now because we've got a lot of leaders who are saying powerful words and they sound like, they're radicals, but they're not. You listen to 2 or 3 of their speeches and you find that they're still connected to this globalist agenda and they're not planning on making any proper changes. A leader can tell me about how they're going to try and sell cocoa at the right price, but as long as you still have your currency pegged to the American dollar, as long as you're not talking about an African currency, as long as you're not talking about controlling trade, as long as you're not talking about one African army, borderless Africa, as long as those things are missing from the speech, straight away I know that this person's not serious. And we're seeing these leaders being given to us over and over again. Anyway, I'll give others a chance to chat. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much for that contribution there. Another very important contribution. Wow. Family, let's home in a bit more on what you were saying about the addiction and spirituality and the importance and the need for us, especially leaders, those who are thinking of going into leadership really now, to be thinking of where they're at spiritually. Now, I want to go back to some of what our brother Paul was talking about, because I actually picked up on something that I was reading and made some notes on it because, it touched me. And basically, it was saying that the worst form of enslavement is spiritual enslavement. And our brother was talking about how, well, he didn't go as far as this, but I'll add, how spirituality was knocked out of us as Africans, how some of the symbols that we held on to, that maybe we use to move us from where we are, to take us into the spiritual realm, was taken away as well. There were probably ceremonial pieces that were maybe in some of the shrines or the sacred places where we would go to commune on a spiritual level with our ancestors, where we would go maybe to hear from the universe or what have you. So we as a people, it was being said, have been spiritually enslaved. Now we talk about, physical enslavement, and we talk a lot about mental enslavement, but we don't actually realize that we have also been spiritually enslaved. We're on the wrong frequency. As Dr. Abu and Paul was talking about the importance of being in the right frequency, because when we're on the right frequency, that's when we are, at our optimum and most powerful as individuals and as people. But we can only get on that right frequency by being on the right spiritual level. So if we have been spiritually enslaved, then we are in serious, serious problems indeed. And that's what has happened, because I'm sure most of us have actually read about our history, where it was talked about our African traditional religions being knocked out of us, how, other religions, the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, and the religions of the conquerors was being imposed on us as a people, and how our African religions was actually being, knocked out of us. We could be murdered, we would be killed for practicing our spiritual religion. It had to go underground, to the extent now where it has largely been lost. So our spirit has been captured, and it's been captured by our enemy. And so they have spiritually enslaved us. And what they've done, you talked about the Black Madonna, what they've done as part of that spiritual enslavement was they replaced, our deities who were in our image with deities that are now in their image. And so we have subconsciously in our mind now started worshiping deities that don't look like us. These are the deities of the white so-called slave masters who indoctrinated us with their idols, you could say. So we're all practicing white idolatry. We're idolizing whiteness because we are worshiping white images, the blue-eyed, blonde-haired Jesus, for example, the white Mary, the white Jesus. They have indoctrinated that into our subconscious through the religion and spiritually enslaved us and spiritually chained us into worshiping their idols and their people. It was Baba Ashra Kwesi. That's who I got this from. It was one of his discussions on this, and it resonated with me. And wow, and here it is coming up today. And so I'm able to share it. And what he was reminding us of, and we've all read about it, is how prior to the invasion of the Romans, how the whole world almost was worshipping the Black Madonna, the Black woman and child. The Black woman and child, the Black Madonna, was actually a representative of what the Greeks called Isis, of what the Egyptians called Osset. So the Black Madonna, was the Black Isis, the Black Osset, and she was being worshipped. The Black Madonna was being worshipped not just all over Egypt and parts of Africa, but also all over Europe, in France, in Italy, in Greece, in Spain, in Britain, in Germany, Scandinavia, right up to Russia. Even today, in many parts of Europe, there are shrines where the Black Madonna was and still is. And many of these shrines way back were actually closed off to the public. And many of the original Black Madonnas were actually destroyed. But they kept some, and they kept some of these shrines as well. But because what they needed to do, when we talk about us as Africans being indoctrinated with whiteness, for example, and being, given a Eurocentric curriculum, which has totally consumed our mindset now, so that we've lost our identity and who we are as a people. It's also happened to us on a spiritual level as well. And so, and that is the depth to which, we have been conquered as a people. So when we were all powerful and when we were almighty, our deities looks like us. Those who, we might have prayed to, we might have worshipped either, as a representative of us or in the spiritual realm who we identified with, because even the spirit mediums, when I was in Zimbabwe, I learned about Neander, and Neander was a spirit medium, and she heard from the spirits in the spiritual realm. And there was always a spirit medium that our people was able to hear from. Kimpavita, for example, was a spirit medium. And there were many of them, these spirit mediums who would be able to hear from the spiritual realm and be able to lead our people in war, lead our people in battle. They would be able to advise us what to do in certain circumstances. And we have now been spiritually enslaved, and we've actually lost our connection with the spirit realm. Wow, wow, wow. And so, this was something really powerful that I was listening to just a few days ago. And then our brother raises it today, our brother Paul raises it today. And yes, it is a big secret, an open secret, that the Pope actually in secret worships the Black Madonna. And even in Spain, there is an annual celebration, I believe even until this day, where they take the Black Madonna through the streets, and many of them are still worshipping the Black Madonna and paying homage to the Black Madonna. And so the origins, as we know, of the religions that we're even, many of us that have been indoctrinated with today, is a whitewashed version of what we as Africans had created. Now remember, Africa as a continent is vast, and we as Africans, we had populated the entire globe. So there were Africans with their religion in the East, in worshipping, an image that looked like them in the form of a Buddha. And so there are African Buddhas with the big broad noses and the African features all over places like Cambodia and India and even China and everywhere, because we were in all of those places and we brought whatever our religious belief systems was with us. But they were, these images were African features. Yeah, and in Africa, what they call today the Sub-Saharan Africa, we had our various African spirituality or African religion. But again, we were looking to deities who were in our likeness. Now, when the Greeks came among us, they studied at our feet, didn't they? For hundreds of years, they studied at our feet. They learned from us. They learned the ancient ways. They knew and got to understand what made us powerful. They understood the power of our deities, the power in our kings, the power in our belief systems. They studied these ideas. And so, by the time the Romans took over and had studied at the feet of the Greeks, they knew that in order to break the back of the African, in order to control the African, in order to take over all of what we had accomplished globally, because by then we had hundreds of thousands of years of civilization, hundreds of thousands of years, and the evidence is there if we know what to look for. They realized that what they needed to do was to capture us spiritually. They needed to take it's like trying to take our soul. And they did that by destroying the Black divinity, by destroying that connection that we had with nature, by destroying, because that was who we were. We were spiritual beings. We were connected to the universe. Our ancestors read the stars. Our ancestors traveled the globe following the stars. They charted and mapped out the stars, even the astronomy that we have today. We invented that as Africans. We mapped it out hundreds of thousands of years ago, because we even worked out thousands of years ago, that it takes 26, almost 27,000 years for the globe to spin or do a full cycle on its axis. We worked that out, yeah, and we built those stone circles, yeah, in alignment with the stars that mapped out the summer solstice, when the monsoon winds were going to come, when the monsoon rains were going to come. We were able to map all that out because we were in tune with the stars, we were in tune with the universe, we were in tune with us, we had a spiritual connection. And what they did was they destroyed our Black divinity. And in destroying our Black divinity and our connection with nature, that's how they managed to destroy us as a people. And what they did is they denigrated everything Black, indoctrinated us to worship whiteness, indoctrinated us to believe that everything Black was negative, everything Black was bad, until we got to the place where today many of our people scorn the image of Blackness, want to bleach themselves because they don't want to look Black, where they worship and idolize images of whiteness. We have been captured spiritually, and the worst form of enslavement, according to Baba Ashra Kwesi, is spiritual enslavement. Thank you for, touching on that, Paul, because as I said, that's something I picked up on a few days ago. I wonder if anybody wants to come in and comment on anything that I've just said there.
Well, we're saying, it's true still, but they said sometimes we are trying to get solution out of the symptoms instead of look straight to the cause. You understand, The whole reality is, my sis, what I'm saying that we're talking about spirituality, leadership, and all of these things. And what we have here is contamination. I can't see, the truth may I tell you, people may vex when I say it, but I see all these religious things as a diversion, because all of them is promising us that somebody is coming to save us. The Christian are look for Jesus, and the Muslim are look for the Mahdi to come. You understand? But what I'm saying that we have to prepare to shed that skin like that snake. We got to prepare to do that, because we can't, all the things that we call ourselves here is a protest. We use it to protest against the West. And we want to go back to Africa with the same coat, the same garment. And no. Many of these things where you see around here, Black Panther, Nation of Islam, all of them have to shed them skin if they talk about restoration. Because what they were doing here is using it to protest against the West up there. So now you have an exit. Are you gonna still going back in the same garment? There's an African, when African go to war, they don't just go back to the village. Sometimes it take them weeks before them bring that energy back to the village. We have to be careful of how we have big up these leaders, because as I said, they lost the main fuel of running them. They are not leaders. They are just a ladder that the European used to crawl on top of us and abuse us. That's all they are, blood. And that's full time. I see this bishop and pastors, they are nothing more than pimps. And some people may not like it, but these are what the colonial master give to us. These are what the conqueror give to us. You show me the bishop that generate from out of Africa. We can talk about all of these things, but all the things that most of us talk about is what we pick up in the school. We don't have the strength and the courage to go there and even speak to the inner self of us. We rather talk to our mobile phone than talk to the inner self of us, And that is we have to seek that within ourselves, and then we seek it with others, But we can't Just a look on repetition. Repetition is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. You understand? And these people them that we were looking up to and still look to take us to somewhere, they ain't taking us nowhere. They're just gonna keep us right here. And that's how I see it. Boom.
Budum, Dr. Abu. Budum. Yes. You know, that's what a lot of our people were indoctrinated with, the idea that a savior is going to jump out the sky and save us. And if we were waiting for someone to save us during our days of enslavement, we would still be enslaved today. We had to save ourselves. We had to get in tune with who we are as a people, realize the power that we have within us, and then put that power into action. Someone actually said in the chat, Rise Up Honor, said, we have so much power, it's unbelievable. You saw yourself, Sister Shanice, from the way they cut you out of YouTube, trust. Yes, they've cut me off of YouTube. They're terrible, is it? Anyway, yeah, from last strong, you know, I just about managed to get the show started, isn't it? And I couldn't get in after that. And it's been happening, it's been building up for a little while. And today I couldn't get in at all. And, you know, every day prior, right up to this afternoon, the internet has been fine. Everything's been fine. So I knew they'd been messing with me from I started seeing the numbers, from I couldn't get over the 10,000 in a year. I'm like, what? Suck my guan, yassa. And people are confirming that I'm not coming up on their feed, that they're not getting the information about my shows when they're going live. And so, you know, they're playing their dirty tricks. We know how they do. Okay, but this is a serious discussion that we're having here right now about leadership and what it takes to be a great African leader. And we looked back and we've seen that in the days when we were all powerful and almighty, we were in tune with who we were as Africans. Dr. Abu was just saying, you'll need to shed some of these coats that we're wearing, the coat of Islam, the coat of Christianity, the coat of, you know, imperialism and all these. We'll have to shed all of that, because who we are underneath all of that is what we know ourselves today as Africans, you know, first and foremost. And we have to unite around that. And then the African has to get to know who they are. We have to know ourselves and the power that we have within to be almighty and all great. I can see our brother Geb in the house, regular caller on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi. Welcome, brother Geb. Would you like to contribute to the conversation that we're having right now about the worst form of enslavement being spiritual enslavement? What say you, my brother?
Hotep. Burum. I was listening intently, but in particular, I was listening intently to Dr. Abu. And, Dr. Abu is rightfully always reminding us how sick we are. And sis, we are sick. The sickness that we have is curable, but we're sick.
True.
And when we talk about leadership, I was thinking about the conversation around leadership and the United States military and the UK military. And, all these soldiers on the battleground, if you take one out, the battle continues. But we are so cowardly as Africans that when they take out one of our leaders, we do nothing about it. We sit and we do nothing. And then when another leader emerges, the same process occurs, and we're wondering why we haven't gotten anywhere. It's because we don't understand we all need to be leaders. We all need to be leaders, and we all need to be followers. And we are so compliant with these white devils and our compliance keeps us in our position. And we need, just this morning, Sister Shanice, I was saying to you that we need to break with their system. These ideas of economics and this is their system. This isn't our system. As Africans, we can barter and we can trade. We don't need their systems. And in terms of education, education 101 for me is teaching every African child that this white devil is the enemy. And if that isn't, if that's not part of our education, then what are we doing? Because all of them know that we're the enemy. I'm just going to rest on that, sis.
Rise up, Brother Geb. Thank you for your contribution there. Absolutely agree. We have to recognize the cause of our problem. As Dr. Abu was saying as well, it's one thing looking at the symptoms, but we have to look at the cause. And our history makes it absolutely clear, you know, the causes of our problem. Sister Sherry says, a great discussion. We really need to get back to who we are. The grip on us is more serious and dangerous than I originally thought. It really, really is deep. Malanga says, we have to start grooming our own leaders. The ones representing us now were not groomed and financed by us. Absolutely. And let's remember, family, that these leaders start off in our homes, in our families. Yeah. And so those of us who know better, we need to be doing the works in our extended families as well. So important, because it could be any one of our children or grandchildren that go on to be tomorrow's leaders, or is a leader in some capacity. I agree, we are all leaders. Yes, we are indeed. But we all need to be of the right mindset as well, if we're going to bring about the changes we want to see. Because as our brother Geb was saying, we ought to be in a position where we recognize we're all on the battlefield. And if one leader drop out, the battle continues. Just like the Haitian Revolution. As in the Haitian Revolution, the people, they fought, they had their spiritual ceremony, didn't they? They had their powerful voodoo ceremony in the middle of the night in a crocodile swamp. In a crocodile swamp, such was the extent that our people was at one with nature. They had a ceremony in the crocodile swamp.
Upstairs, and I suppose you're upstairs, but probably I'm sure
Okay, is that where you are, Brother Geb?
But anyway, Cabot's in the fridge.
No?
No, sis,
Okay.
I'm mute. You've got Lisa's not mute, and somebody that says 108.
Lisa, please mute yourself for us. Okay, let's see if I can mute. Yeah, yes, I've muted Lisa. Okay, who else?
108, 108. 108, 108.
Okay, I think I've just muted Charlene. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, please, yeah, do keep yourself on mute. If you want to join the conversation, you're welcome to do so as well. Yeah, so Malenka was saying that we have to start grooming our own leaders. And I was saying that, you know, these leaders of tomorrow may very well be in our family member, maybe a family member. And, you know, as was it you, Brother Geb, was saying, we're all leaders. Every single one of us is a leader in our own right. You know, we could be leading our household, we could be leading, you know, leaders within our family, within our groups, within our organizations. We're all leaders, you know, and in some capacity or the other. And we need to make sure that as leaders, we are of the right mindset. And the right mindset is to get back in touch with our spirituality and to be looking to remove ourselves from the matrix, as Brother Geb was saying. And we've had these conversations, and it reminds me of the works of our brother Franklin Jones, the Black Matrix. You know, first of all, it's to recognize that we are in a matrix, and I visualize the matrix like a spider's web, you know, and within that spider's web, it's like we're caught up in there. And, you know, everything is, you know, around us that we're expected to be a part of. The education systems in the spider web, the economic system, the political system, you know, their mental institutions, their medical institutions, you know, it's all in this matrix. You know, whichever way you turn, we're expected to go to them, you know, to look after us, to provide us with our housing, to provide us with our clothing, to provide us with our jobs and everything we need. But within that matrix comes the control that they have over us, over our lives, over, you know, everything, even whether or not, you know, we have the big bats. Total control. And so what we need to do is remove ourselves from their matrix. And in so doing, that means setting up our own educational institutions where so we can educate and groom our own people, have our own equivalent of the Oxfords and the Cambridges and the likes, where we groom our, you know, leaders of tomorrow. We need to have our own economic system where we're trading amongst ourselves, where we are pursuing and implementing the African Free Trade Agreement, where we're encouraging the countries, the CARICOM countries, and all of the African nations and the diaspora around the world to trade with each other. We can form our own trading bloc. Yeah, those who can barter with each other. Those who want to trade can trade with each other. Yeah. We can, as we did in the days of old, we had our own trading routes. They've taken over a lot of those trading routes now. You know, the ports, the train lines, the airlines, you know, the means of transporting goods, they've taken that over. But, you know, the women, the African women, you know, they are the ones largely going across the borders, getting the goods, flying around the world, bringing them back in again. Not saying the men ain't doing it, but the women as traders, as market women, as people who are out there, you know, as traders, you know, they've created their own routes. We have our own trade routes. We need to, you know, formalize them and recognize them and build them and support them. So that, you know, they can bring the goods to market. But what we need to make sure that we're doing is that when we travel to get those goods, that we are buying from people who look like us, so that we could be circulating that pound or that dollar within our communities. So we need to extrapolate ourselves economically, extrapolate ourselves from the matrix educationally, our own medical institutions. You know, we need to do for self, basically, so that we can detach ourselves from the control that we have. And then we might be in a position where we can start finding ourselves again. Let's see what's being said in the chat here. Malenga says, yes, once we have the right mindset, we will all be leaders and act appropriately in whatever space we are in. Agree 100%. You know, if once we've got the right mindset, once we know who we are as a people, it's all over. It's all over. Honor is saying, absolutely fantastic show. Oh, thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic show. They can try to gag us, but they will never shut us up. We will shout from the mountaintops and preserve. Vudum right back at you. Honor. Great to have you in here. Sister Sherry is saying, great discussion. We really need to get back to who we are. The grip on us is more serious and dangerous than I originally thought. Yes, I mentioned that one already. Dr. Abu, come in.
You see, as I said, you know, we are out of order. You know, but we are positive. You see the narrative? We are out of order, but we are positive. And you know, being positive, it helped me to pay my rent, it helped me to pay the mortgage, it get me popular. What I'm saying that, when you take on narrative, you lose your power. You understand? You know, we got to get back in order because we have a lot of positive leaders, but they do nothing. And that's all positiveness do nothing. And I'm sick and tired of hearing African lectures coming to tell me that it was a positive turnout. How can it be a positive turnout? It have to be a progressive turnout. We have to start to talk, stop talk like in Wazungu, man. I've seen a leader, a true leader, always looking for his replacement. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
These so-called people who call themselves leader will kill the tree before it grows. Because what I'm saying that they are not nurtured. They are not nurtured to govern their people in a certain way. You understand? They were trained. You understand? They were trained, you understand, to abuse their people. How can you call yourself a leader and your children doesn't go to the school down the road? Your children go to a school in Miami. That's not leader. How can you call yourself leader and you don't even use the medical center in your country? You have to fly out to Paris, and that's not leader. That's a damn abuser. And at full time, we start to recognize what we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? But it doesn't start from a national perspective, It starts from a local. You understand? And this is what I'm saying. You understand? That's why Granny always said, when dishcloth become tablecloth, table is in serious trouble. And I leave it as that.
I love the Proverbs. I really do. Retire, rise up, Dr. Abu. when dishcloth become tablecloth, table in trouble. Rise up, Dr. Abu. I will like that one as well. Do we have anyone in the house who'd like to jump in and make a contribution to the discussion that we're having? We've spoken quite a bit on spirituality. We can go deeper into spirituality, and it's important that we do. And I don't want to offend any Christians in the house. I've come from a Christian family. I was very much in the church myself, up until, a few years back. When, yes.
My mother was a Christian.
That's all they knew.
My mother, what is it? When you wake up, sis, I cannot respect something, because respect means to honor, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I honor something that abused me? A full time we wake up, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge that you're there, but I can't respect you. You're an abuser. Simple as that. And if my brother want to feel vexed about it, that is his business. Go and suck on your lollipop. Later on, you're going to have a toothache.
Mm-hmm. So let's home in on this a little bit more, shall we? Because, it's important that we have the conversation and that we have the conversation not to offend anybody that might be, into Christianity or Muslim or the other religions. But we just need to recognize that these are foreign doctrines that were imposed on us as a people. And, to recognize that is so, so important. And also to recognize that we were given these images by our conquerors so that we could worship in their image. Because the idea that they had is that if our God looked like our conquerors, if our gods looked like our enslavers, well, we're not going to want to harm our God, are we? So therefore, we're not going to want to harm our enslavers or our conquerors. So this is how, religion was actually used. Well, the Europeanized version of Christianity and Muslimism, this is how it was used to actually capture the mind of us as a people. So when we talk about we need to be in our right mind, we need to be in our right mind in terms of the knowledge that we acquire, but also the right spiritual mind as well. And our spirit mind that has been captured through the Europeanized religion. Now, I've got a quote here from Chancellor D. Williams. According to Chancellor D. Williams, in the Congo, the Christianization of the people was a cynical plot by the Portuguese to Europeanize the country. Yeah, so here he is reinforcing what we're talking about.
Sorry, yes, brother. All right then, take time.
Yeah, let me put you on mute. So he said that what was happening then was the Congolese kings, queens, and nobles, they all received European names after being baptized. They had their children educated in Portugal. This is what we've just been talking about. I mean, all of this is part of their strategy and part of their plan. There's a reason why many of today's African leaders were educated in Oxford, why they're part of the Old Boy Network, why they were educated in Cambridge, why their children are being accepted in Cambridge and the likes. Okay, these are the people who are controlling the world that we're in, you know? So this has been going on for centuries. So back then, the Congolese kings, queens, and nobles, they received a European names after being baptized. They had their children educated in Portugal. They paid allegiance to the Roman Pope. The Jesuits became counselors, such as dukes and infants. Remember, we as Africans, our population as a king revered us as the king, or as the queen. The population, our population would have revered us as the queen. Yeah, we had the power as the king. We had the power as the queen. But then if your king is bowing down to another king, suddenly, why are you going to bow down to your king if he's bowing down to another king? You're going to make that other king, that other idol, your king. And that's what happened. And so, you know, the allegiance that was to the kings and the queens, the African kings and queens, then moved to become the Roman Pope, the Jesuits, who became the counselors and the dukes and the infants of Congo. So by 1512, the Portuguese Regimento appeared, and they issued by their king, Manuel, it contained an outline. So they issued by their king a manual, you know, a script of some sort, and it contained an outline for the Congolese policy. So here we are now, an independent African country that has adopted Christianity, that has been Christianized. Yeah, their mind has been captured and enslaved now, so that they are bound down to white idols and becoming, you know, idolizers of whiteness. And they've adopted a Christian name. They've been educated, and all their nobles and queens have all been educated now and baptized into Christianity and educated by the Portuguese. And now the Portuguese regiment has come in to dictate to them what their policy should be. And this document, it says, the document begins with the assertion that all Catholic kings are brothers. Now remember, a lot of these Catholic kings were Europeans, yeah? And now they've adopted these African kings. And so they're saying, first of all, we're all brothers. We're all one. We're all the same. We're your new brothers. It therefore follows that Manuel will help his brother, the King of Congo, build Christianity in the kingdom. And moreover, the Portuguese ambassador is to act as an advisor to the Congolese king. So now the Congolese king no longer has the power because he has an advisor. And this Portuguese advisor to the Congolese king is the one who's going to be advising him. He's going to be reforming Congo's court, and he's going to be basically dictating how the court should run, how the kingdom should run. And that's how they came in. That's how this is just an example of the Congolese king losing his power after being indoctrinated and adopting a Christianized mindset. And you can find this story on page 440 of Robin Walker's book, When We Ruled. Okay. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
But is it's the same thing that even happening today now. You know, when an African leaders send his children them here to all the universities, sometimes some of them get caught up in uncompromising in photograph and all of them things there.
Yeah.
And them use it back because that is what they was using. They was using and those people in the Congolese. You know, they was using them children as a like they hold them hostage. You understand? It's the same thing we are going. Many of these Nigerian, them have to do, and Ghanaian, them have to do what the West say, because the West have uncompromised photograph of them. You understand? These are what happen. We don't prepare our children, we just send them out to go in America and Europe to study. And I don't know, say when them come, them out study them. You know, see how much of these African, you know, come here, you know, to study as man. I want to go back to Africa as woman.
Hey.
The whole thing, you know, see, can't be blind, blood, can't be blind. You have to be real, you know, because when you lost your spiritual aspect of life, these African leaders are not swearing on the African spirituality. They are swearing on the same tool of the conquerors. You understand, you know? And this is what is happening to them, and this is what I'm saying. We must not be silent, especially in them time that when we come to know that the church was one of the most oppressive instruments upon us. Our people use the church, you know. If the church didn't know what our people were planning inside it, you know. If you don't mind, they're gonna lynch them. You know how much our people get lynched on the pulpit? And we must sit here and say that, oh, my sister is a Christian, my that is that. No. It's full time we wake up. Because if she's my sister and she now listen to me, but you remember some little dead cracker down a Calvary, that means that you are mentally sick, blood. And this is what happened to us. We are mentally sick. And it's full time we start to acknowledge it and get help. You know, talk to one another, because my sister, there is no counseling center, whether in Africa or here in the West, to help our people. Nothing like that. You know, see, because the place where we go for counseling, them so you don't need counseling because all you need is a personal savior. Here is it. And I'm telling you, Aya, so we can't look and we have to know so well, the whole problem starts in Africa. We can't go to Africa and think that we're going back to a utopia. We are going back to a broken, blouse-knot continent that need, it does, another said, it does not need fixing, it need restoring. You know, see, when them fix Cameroon will come out of it, British and France, that's fixing it. You understand? You know, when them fix certain places, they come out with a colonial essence and smell and taste. They lost their Africanness. I'm not gonna sit here and apologize to our people. You know, the Rasta man always said, death to black and white oppressor. Simple as that. Vodum.
Vodum, Dr. Abu. Vodum.
Vodum.
Sister Sylvia's got her hand up. Come in, sis.
Okay, thank you again. And thank you again to Dr. Abu for saying what he's saying, because he's right. We do need to grow up. A lot of us grew up as Christians, and even some of them, like me, were former ministers, educated in seminary. And the first thing they teach you in seminary is the Bible is not true. And they teach you about the African cosmologies, but they don't allow us to teach it in the churches. And so you're in this constant dichotomy the whole time you're in ministry, where you're being told, being rewarded if you keep up the lie, and you're being punished if you stop lying. And that's what happened to me. When I woke up, I stopped lying. And then I was driven out of the ministry. But that's okay, because the thing about it is, people don't realize, like I live in Jackson, Mississippi. A lot of people in Mississippi think Jim Crow started in the 1800s, but it didn't. It started in Germany. Jim Crow was really the initials for that white boy they put on the stick, Jesus Christ. They know his name is Jim Crow, but they teach us that his name is Jesus Christ. And so the thing about it is, I tell people, you know, you can keep on holding on to him if you want to, but he don't love you. Jim Crow has never loved us. And the thing about it is, if you want to learn what the truth is, learn what they teach us, which is African cosmology. Start with what the Bantu used to do. Look at what the Dagara used to do. Look at what they used to do in Kemet. And that's what they teach us in seminary. Thank you.
Love that.
Thank you for
Wonderful
sharing,
input.
Sister Sylvia. Yes. Does anybody else want to contribute to the discussion?
I love that sister. I love that sister. You see that sister, she come out of the denial. You understand? You know, this is what I'm saying. You know, I am recovering from white privilege addiction. You know, see it. You know, and we have to say it and say it loud. I say it in front of my children. You understand? And you know, because if we don't say these things, our children, they're gonna fall into the addiction. You know, see it. You hear me say it Saturday gone, a lot of people forgot that it was Saturday. I'm telling you. So we have a lot of work to do, you know, on a platform like this. That's, you see, why I like you, Sister Shanice, you create something that we can, like Galaxy Radio, it bring out our purpose. You can't go Oxford and get out your purpose now, then gotta jump down another purpose now you. You understand? So we need outlet like these. In every city where we are, in every country in Africa, you should have an outlet that the people them can bring out in the purpose that they come with. Not look a colonial virus here. You know, see that, and that is that we have to move against the colonial virus, deadly.
For real, Dr. Abu, the colonial virus. Hey.
I would like to come and say something as well.
Go ahead,
because you see, there are so many forms of Christianity. In that, why I say that is one of the eldest churches or observances of Christianity is in Ethiopia.
Antioch.
And I remember reading of Emperor Menelik's wife, Queen Taitu, who, when ones came there to try and conquer, she said, well, how can you come here talking about Christianizing Christians, you know? And basically she was shut and said, well, just move on, go away, because we are the eldest. We are the ancient, you know? And I feel with Christianity, it has been, like everything else, stolen and turned upside down and fling back and give way. Till ones is so confused about what is what, you know? What is real and what is not. We have the revivalists, church. We have so many fractions. And I feel so the main thing is that ones have the spirituality of what is real and what is morally righteous, and one that you behave in a godly way, regardless if you want to say that you're a Christian or you is whatever you want to call yourself. Right? It's the main thing is that you walk with God in your heart and you live loving and you have the principles that are right. You may live in a household before where it's just go to church and it's Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But when you come of age, you have sense and look into various things, because there's things that you know that your parents don't even know. Because me sure know, say my mother and my father never know, say the eldest church, the ancient church, which is in Ethiopia. Them never know that. And me never know that at that time to tell them that. You see, so when we speak of certain things, we have to remember, sir, we are the first frequency. And within the Christianity now, there are principles where ones have to maintain themselves in a certain behavior. Morality, stand firm. So when we see others coming and using certain things to put we in a bondage, then we know say that there is wrong. But we never come from that. So you have to make sense out of nonsense, so that may I say. Blessed love.
Blessed love, sis.
Hotep, sis, if you don't mind, just really quickly.
Go ahead.
I don't know a deeper sickness that we suffer from than Christianity.
Serious thing.
We've got many sicknesses, but that particular sickness is the cancer that moves amongst African people. And, you know, there is no archaeological evidence and no historical evidence to what they created in Christianity. It doesn't exist.
Real.
But the idea that African people will remain in bondage and pray is a sickness. The idea that African people will turn the cheek whilst we're under attack is a sickness. That is not what the Creator created us to do. And, you know, Dr. Abu, I appreciate you just plowing through and continue to plow through on this idea, because we must renounce that sickness, and that sickness is Christianity. And like you, it's not meant to be said as an offense, but it is killing African people. And we need to come to terms with that particular cancer. Wudum.
And as with any sickness, you know, we have to be able to diagnose it first before we can begin to treat it. You know, once we've diagnosed the problem, then we can recognize, you know, what the illness is. Then we'll be in a position to start treating it. And this is a sensitive one for our people generally, because it's something that we have been indoctrinated with over the last almost 2,000 years. You know, I just gave you an example of what was going on, what the Portuguese were doing in Congo. And remember, you know, the date, it was around, when was it? It was 1512 that the Portuguese then went into Congo to issue their new policies. And so while they were saying to the King of Congo that we are brothers and we will work together, and we will send you an advisor who will tell you how to run your kingdom, as if he wasn't running the kingdom before they got along. Anyway, whilst they were doing, the Portuguese were claiming to be Christian brothers and fellow Christians with the Congolese. At the same time, they were busily running out and murdering the African Moors in Portugal. So around the same time, the Moors were having to flee the homes that they had built in Spain and flee the homes that they had built in Portugal because of the Spanish Inquisition that was happening under Ferdinand, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. So such is the hypocrisy. It's just like, for example, we could be in the West here, where we've been brought up supposedly as good Christian people, where, you know, there are churches on every corner almost, and it's meant to be a Christian country. And here we have our governments in other countries arming militia groups and causing war and bringing terrorism on the lives of people. You know, such is the hypocrisy of the people. So what we can see from this is that religion is basically used as a mind control tool, because if they can get a people to agree to live by the principles of the Bible, turn the other cheek. You know, if your slave master tells you to jump how high, you know, better to be a poor man than a rich man in the kingdom. So everyone wants to be poor. You know, a rich man will never get to the kingdom of heaven or to go through the needle's eye or whatever it is. So it's, you know, if we're constantly being told about these scriptures and these verses in the Bible, which is telling us and indoctrinating us with the idea that we must enjoy poverty, you know, we must endure poverty, we must endure the whippings of the slave and of our enslaver. If they can make us believe that we must endure all of this pain here on earth, you know, for the rewards in heaven. None of them got to heaven and come back and tell us, oh, it's still, you know, but we are supposed to endure all of this, you know, so that we can live a better everlasting life in heaven.
You remember?
They can make us believe this. Then they don't need to worry about our actions. They don't need to worry about what we're going to do, because they know that our mind has been controlled to accept our situation in the sheepish way that Paul was describing earlier. Come in, Dr. Abu.
You remember when the Notre Dame was on fire? Yeah. And African need them school in develop and them medical center. African leaders send millions of pounds.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, that Christianity is European cultural aggression. You understand? Church and all of these things is not African narrative. Church come from the Scottish word kirk. You understand? The first church was in Antioch, Greek. The Ethiopian never called those place church. You understand? This was even when they go to Lalabella and them places, this place was not church. This place where Queen Candace, you understand, set up their military watch and all of these things. You know, a lot of people, they get mixed up because we get caught under this Alpha and Amigo, African attack Greek, and all of these things, and they want us to agree to them things. You know, see, a full time we come out of these little nonsense. It's like we have to Humpy Dumpy sat on the wall. Hey, diggle, diggle, the cat and the figgle and these wolf of garbage. We are big people. We are not children no more. We must come out of these things. And this is a fear. Fear keeps us passive, because that is what Christianity do. It keeps us passive. You know, and we love, as I said, people may say that, but I'm telling you, this is the behavior of a junkie. If you don't understand the characteristic of a junkie, then look at our African people. You understand? And look at them with our eye wide open, because this is very serious, very, very serious.
For real, we hear you on that, Dr. Abu. Does anyone else want to jump in? Let's go over to the chat and see some comments here. So Pauline has said, Emperor Constantine Christos switched the true narrative from Ethiopia. Images were whitened at the Council of Nicaea. The brainwashing continues. Absolutely, Sister Pauline, spot on, you know, and it was the Africans. I mean, as our sister was explaining, you know, Africans had, you know, their belief systems, and the Church of Lalibela and Ethiopia and the Orthodox Church, and so that all existed well before our interaction with the Europeans happened at the turn of the century or so. And, you know, when the Greeks were studying at the feet of the Africans and they saw the religious systems that we had and were in awe of, you know, all of its grandeur and everything that comes with it, because you just have to look at the temples and the cathedrals and, you know, that existed, that our people built, you know, to realize the extent to which, you know, there must have been a huge amount of formality around this. There were the priests and the laws and the, you know, it was an industry in itself. Yeah, the religious system was an industry in itself. Well, the Greeks, they wanted their own god. They wanted, you know, what the Africans had. And we gave them a god called Christos. So in my notes here, we have that it was the Serapis Christos religion. That was the religion that ushered in the age of Pisces. And that was around that age of Piscean age was the age of deception, the age of destruction, and the age of death.
Believe.
The 3 Ds, deception, destruction, and death. And those people were very deceptive, and our people found themselves yoked in that period of deception. But yeah, it was the Africans that actually guided them into creating a religion for themselves. As I said, you know, it might have started off in the Ptolemaic period, from the Egyptian period to the Ptolemaic period, but then also when the Romans took over from the Greeks, they then changed the names of the gods that the Greeks had as well to Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. So it went from, is it Osar, Aset, and Haru, to Isis, Horus, and what's the other one? They had their 3. And then from the Greek names, it went to the Roman names. And it's the Roman names that we still have today, you know, but prior to the Greeks being given their own religion, it was the Africans. Here I have it in my notes now. So the Egyptian Holy Trinity was Osar, Oset, and Heru. Osar the father, Oset the mother, and Heru the son. And we see images and objects, and artifacts of Osar, Oset, and Heru. Yeah, and huge stories around all of them. And they said we were worshiping the sun, but you know, we understood astronomy, we understood the stars, we understood the power of the sun. We understood the importance of the sun in nature and in all things, bringing life, you know. So we had Osar, Oset, and Heru, who was the father, the mother, and the son, the first Holy Trinity, okay? Then the Egyptians, you know, were plagiarized, the Greeks plagiarized that and gave it their Latinized name. So Osar became Osiris, Oset became Isis, and Heru became Horus. That's the one I couldn't remember, Horus. So then they, in Latin, had Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And then the Romans came in and they adapted it and gave it the name Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, Father, Mother, and Son, the Holy Trinity. And then we also had the Black Madonna and Child, and they adapted that to Mary and Jesus and basically whitewashed it and destroyed, you know, the Black Madonnas and the images. There were hundreds of thousands of these Black Madonnas everywhere. People held on to them, people worshipped them. It was a point of contact between them and the spiritual realm. And they, and that mother and Black Madonna represented the mother and child, represented fertility, was the virgin, you know. Anyway, they whitewashed it with their Mary and Jesus. So we can see how, you know, what the Africans had created, how it over time changed and was plagiarized and whitewashed into what we recognize and have been indoctrinated with today. Okay, but then, you know, that was just in Egypt, the original Asor, Aset, and Eru, you know, that was in Egypt. Remember, in other parts of Africa, they had their religions as well, because Africa, as we know, is huge, is a huge, huge continent, you know, and although we know a lot about Egypt, we know less about the spiritual practices in other, was happening in other parts of Africa. And as we know, there were parts of Africa that believed in spirituality, the power of the spirits. We were able to do magic even as a people. There's documented evidence that we had magicians among us as well. They're spoken about in the papyruses, you know, and so we are all powerful as a people. And even when you begin to think about our melanin, you know, that blackness, the source of everything, the color in which everything is, you know, the power, the color of the universe, the blackness of the universe, the black hole, the energy, the living organism in the atmosphere, the living organism that we have going around in us, the melanin that connects us to the universe. That's the spiritual side now, the spirituality that we, and the knowledge that we had from deep down in Mother Africa, from the southern region of Africa, coming all the way up through Ethiopia and to North Africa, was a whole new, a whole different movement where, you know, it was us as Black Africans, as melanated people, and our melanin as a living organism, you know, that was absorbing the energy, absorbing the sun, that was at one with the earth, that was at one with nature, that was on the right frequency as well. Sound has its frequency, light has its frequency, sound waves, music has its frequency, the light, the sun, the planets, the stars, they all have their frequencies. And the sea has its frequency. They all vibrate. And we were on that vibrational frequency. You know, there's a lot now to distract us and to keep us from getting back onto that frequency. There are radio waves and all kinds of probably things we can't even hear that's emitting things that's stopping us from tapping into our natural frequency. But our melanin is a living organism, and we have to find a way of connecting back, like putting a plug in the socket. We have to find a way of connecting back, you know, to the universe, where we can get a lot of power from, and where, you know, our melanin, you know, has the power to move mountains through sound wave. You know, they wonder today how we built the pyramids, how we erected those megalithic stones, how we created those stone circles, some of those stones weighing 10 tons, you know, but we were able to move them and erect them and position them in the circles and align them with the stars and the planets, so that, you know, they would cast shadows, and we could use them as calendars to tell the time of year and the season that we're in and when to plant and all the rest of it. We are just phenomenal as a people when we get in tuned with who we are. Let me see what's been said in the chat here. So Sister Veronica saying, I think as Black people, African people, we have lost our vibration, in my opinion. Exactly what I'm talking about not being on the right frequency, and how we are, you know, everything vibrates in nature, including us. And Sister Veronica goes on to say, we need some kumina vibration that will get us back to our spirituality for sure. Kumina is what we need. All right, Sister V, I hope you're gonna take us out with some kumina tonight. And let's go back. Pauline is saying, Emperor Constantine Christos switched the true narrative of the Ethiopian images. Yes, I read that one. Sister Cherubi said, is this recorded? I would love to listen back to this, as I didn't get it from the start. Yes, it's being recorded. Yes, it's being recorded. So yeah, please do put your comments in the chat. It's got on much later than we would normally go on YouTube. And I think that's because we started really late. So thank you for staying with us. Obviously, there's a lot of people who, you know, haven't been able to tune in this evening. So what I'll do is I will edit this and upload it on YouTube, you know, and maybe going forward in 2023, maybe that's the way we'll drop it. Hey, jammers, where's the jammers? Rise up, yourself. Come in, jammers.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
No, I saw the confusion, so I said, no, man, I have to join in there, man. I could see the, you know, powers to be trying to stop you, you know.
It's sabotage.
Yeah. So what I'd just like to add is what I said is the methodology, I can't even say it. This is the strategy that they use to keep us down.
Methodology,
is the very words that they use, you see. Everything they do as a minor, they call it universal, you know. If you look at Urugu, you know, this is what she talks about, you know, they take their little thing and use a universal language, you know. So they have their particular practice of Christianity, but then they say it's for everybody. But all it is to do is to promote their methodology, their dominance.
Yes.
You know? So this is what we have to bear in mind. They've taken us away by the use of their teaching, taken us away from being perceivers to being believers. A perceiver is when you look through everything and you take everything on board. A believer, the first two letters in the word believer is the word be. The next sound in that is leave. So when you believe, you leave things as they are. You know, someone will give you a car and you don't check the car because you believe what they've said that the car works. You don't perceive it because you don't take it to the mechanic. You don't check the MOT. You believe. So you just take what is given to you. That also makes you a receiver. And when you're a receiver, you just take what is given to you. And this is how they altered our mindset by taking our original way of doing things and reversing it. You know, so if you've got a way of doing something, all the person has to do, if they haven't got nothing themselves, is to reverse it, you see. So by them reversing it, they've made us move in reverse, you see. So that's why we have to drop everything that they have given to us. Because and it sounds sweeter now because they modified it. But everything that comes out of their mouth is designed for their domination over us. Bobby Wright as well talks about this, you know, the principles that they all their frauds and all their Mazda, all their principles that they talk about, we're not in that equation. It doesn't apply to us because the ingredients in there is what they have. It's not ingredients that we have. I believe is it Mazda's theory, what Bobby Wright talked about is you come from food, sex, and I think security. They're the three things. Then it moves to savings, and then from savings you get self-esteem. From self-esteem you get love, and from love you get self-actualization. But in that model, we can only achieve, we can't get to savings. You see, so we can't get to savings, so we can't self-actualize as in the model that they try to put on us, because certain pieces of the puzzle they've denied to us. So we fall short of all of the philosophies that they put in place. It doesn't include us. So another thing, we have to reject all their solutions, all their philosophies, because it doesn't apply to us and it's from their mindset. Even this pandemic is just another form of European dominance to control us, our health, you know, and to control the way that we can actualize our own being, you know. So just in line with what was being said earlier, you know, this is what we have to be aware of. We have to reject everything that comes out of their teeth, because that's why it's called teeth. They use it to teeth everything from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jammers. It's so great to hear from you.
It's good to be here supported.
Yes, so we have to throw everything where them give us. Throw away the image of the white man. Throw away everything where them give us, because it's not for us. They give the impression it's for us. They give the impression that we're being included, but it's not for us. And we can't even get on the first rung of the ladder. And it's such a slippery slope to try and get on the first rung of the ladder. And because they've convinced all of us, and many of us believe the lie that they've told us, you know, we are there on their slippery slope, trying to comply with their system that isn't for us and doesn't work for us. Thank you, brother Jammer.
Just say one more thing. A minority, which they are, can never say all, can never say universal. It can only apply to them because they are a minority, cannot account for us because we are in the majority. You know, so their terms can never apply to us.
For real. And that's what we need to be teaching all of our people and all of our children, that when they speak, they can't speak for us because they are the minority and we are the majority, and the minority cannot speak for the majority. Asheo. Asheo. Okay, so we're getting ready to wind down now. Family, if you have any closing remarks, any comments that you would like to leave us with, get ready to jump on and to come live. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to, or let us have your closing remarks in the chat. Is this the way forward? Do we use Zoom or the African version of Zoom to have these conversations and then I upload them on YouTube? Because clearly between StreamYard and YouTube, I don't know what's going on there, but all I know is that for the last couple of strongs, I've been getting blocked, and today I was completely blocked out. So how do I go forward for 2022? I was thinking of taking January out to give some thought as to what the new format should be. But hey, I think this might be it. What do you think? Let me know in the chat, or just jump on and give me a shout and tell me.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Paul again here. I think the way forward should be Zoom and then perhaps upload on YouTube, because Zoom is a little bit more engaging than YouTube. I don't know, just my thoughts, but we can look at it because I've realized with Zoom, many people are actually contributing as opposed to YouTube, where you have to either chat or maybe I don't know. But with Zoom, I can just jump in and give my contribution. Another person, you know. So we find that it's a big family, and everybody is willing to participate. Now, just to add on what we were talking about, I think we also need to realize that we have gatekeepers of hell, and the gatekeepers of hell are not well, there's no hell somewhere with just demons keeping you know, but we have gatekeepers of hell here, and these pastors and bishops and governments. These are people who will make sure that you don't think straight. These are people who will make sure that you rather even die, or they will kill you than you just being yourself. They will change your mind. They will change how you think. They will always tell you, well, look outside of yourself to get to receive salvation or to be saved. Now you wonder, what exactly are you being saved from? Because it's like saying, okay, this goat over here needs to be saved, and it was born as a goat. So what is this goat being saved from? The goat will just live to be a goat. I mean, if it's a sheep, you just live to be a sheep. If it's a lion, you just live to be a lion. So you cannot, so telling people that now for you to, I don't know, do this, you have to look outside of yourself. And it beats all the logic, because in you after realizing, or this era of awakening, after just understanding who a human being is and God and well, the creator, you realize that the creator, the God code is in every human being, is in the blood. So you find the God that we are being taught is actually in a human being. So you just need to be on the right frequency, what I shared earlier. Be on the right frequency and you learn the messages from the sun, not the sun like the son of God, a human being, but the sun. We have, once you start getting this communication from the universe, you will understand that God lives in you and you are a God. You can create stuff. So having this kind of power makes some people who are just afraid. I don't know what they're afraid of. Perhaps they're afraid of our power. So they will come up with all sorts of stories to make you not realize who you are, not realize who I am, because they have distorted all the information. They whatever they bring is just so distorted. So they will try to empower the gatekeepers of hell to make sure that people, especially the black race, remains in hell.
Yeah.
And they never rise up to know who they are. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a good time we address these gatekeepers of hell so that people know them, and that way we shall save ourselves. Because there's no one coming from the sky to save us.
That's for sure.
We have to save ourselves. And we save ourselves by knowing who we are, by understanding who we are. It starts from there. Once you realize who you are, you learn who you are, you know who you are. It starts from there. The universe communicates to you. So you don't need to worry about any other thing. The universe will bring people to help you. If like right now, I did not know that today I'll be sharing this. It just comes. I mean, YouTube messed up and we decided we do Zoom, and now here we are. I'm sharing. And yeah, so all this I believe is just the universe bringing us together.
Rise up. Thank
and
you.
yeah, it's just a great thing. And God is not something you can just stand up and teach somebody. You know, I used to wonder, how come someone will go get a degree, get a master's just about God? So I've come to learn that all this is just politics.
Right.
And it's about because you cannot study God. You cannot, because the way you will perceive God, the way I'll perceive God is different. It's different. Totally different. If someone is connected to moon frequency, cannot teach me about sun frequency, about black hole frequency, about star system frequency. Cannot work. So this is, everybody has got a different, the only thing I can share is, okay, this one works for me. And again, really, it's just different experience. You just need to tap into it and experience it yourself. Tap into it and experience it yourself. But this thing of gatekeepers of hell, they must be exposed, because there are those ones who are kind of putting or hiding in a sheep's clothing, but they are actually wolves. Thank you. I give thanks.
Wolf in sheep clothing, indeed. We give thanks to you as well, Paul. Thank you so much. So yeah, get ready to come in with your final remarks. We're winding down now. Let's keep the contributions brief, because I'm sure you're almost quite tired. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. So Sylvia says, Zoom is a good platform, but we were 69 on YouTube and 30 on Zoom. So yeah, we would have to, and then my Zoom only allows up to 100 as well. So that is a factor to consider if I do Zoom. And then Veronica says, whatever is easier for you, Sister Shanice, thank you so much. She goes on to say, more current affairs is good, not too political, in case that is why you are being locked out. Mix it up. Have a happy new year. You too, Dr. Abu, and resident panel members. Thank you so much. Same back at you, Sister Veronica. And
Yeah,
happy
man, good
Kwanzaa. VR says, when will you have this whole show up on YouTube? I will try and put it up tomorrow. If not, Friday, the latest. Sherry says, if it starts on Zoom, will you notify us in YouTube of the link, etc.? Okay, yeah, I'll have to, do something like that. Or I could give you an email address and I could add you to my email network so that you can all get the notices, because even if you're on Zoom, from what I'm hearing, some of you are not getting the notices of my lives coming up in your feed anymore. So they're definitely blocking me. I knew that was happening, and it's just been confirmed today. Jammers, you were referring to the Maslow theory.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for the correction.
And Sherry B says, Sylvia, that information you shared, wow, I need to listen back to it again. So thank you for sharing, Sister Sylvia. And Vivi says, Brother Jammers, when are you starting your etymology course? We want it. We want in.
That'll be coming in 2022. So Sister Shanice will have all the information on that.
Okay. Awesome, you heard it here first. Sandy says, yes, the powerful three, Shanice, Abu, and Jammers. Peace, blessings, and continued rising to you all, my family. Continued rising to you as well, Sister Sandy. Rise up. Your hand is up. Jump in now, Sister Sandy. Go ahead.
Sister Shanice, I just wanted to say again, oh, it's so lovely. Jammers is here as well. When you and yourself, Jammers, and Abu are here, it's brilliant. There's so much that I've learned over the months. It's been beautiful. If I can make a request and a recommendation going forward, it would be nice to see Abu and Jammers lead on some things which might incorporate not just Wednesdays. It might incorporate Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We do something, but where Brother Abu speaks so passionately on us being diseased, and yeah, let's get that out. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. He can maybe do a Monday. Jammers needs to let us know about what we're speaking and the words that are coming out of our mouths on a Friday. Yourself on a Wednesday. That will, for me, that will be beautiful. I am ready to listen to you guys Monday to Friday. But yes, more incorporation of subject matters, but subject matters just referring to us. Let's take out the colonizer. Let's take them out, man. Let's just focus on building and doing us.
Love it. Dr. Abu, Brother Jammers, you heard it.
Yeah, man.
The show's ready.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Good times. You see the whole thing, Sister Shanice, you know. When they come amongst us, them come and hear us talking about our ancestor. And them take us on an angle. You see that angle, that angel is an angle. Because angel is not African narrative, you know. That's why no angel never come save us. You understand? Because it's just an angle them drop us pan. You know, all those things. And all the angels, them always white. You understand?
Yeah. Whitewash everything.
But our ancestor, that's what I tell the one that said, I never see no angel. I always see my grandfather or my grandmother. I must be real, you know, because we couldn't go tell master that we see grandfather. So we lied to him, and up to now we still continue the damn lie.
Mm. I don't want to drink milk and honey, man. I don't want to die in the land and go to milk and honey. You know, that can't fill my African belly, you know. So this promise that we're on, you know, promise is a comfort to a fool. You know, that's what we're supposed to be looking at, you know. Check. I just wanted everybody to check monastery, you know, because the brother talked about where sun. We come from the sun. Monastery stands for moon astronomy. This is what they're practicing. They come from the darkness. You know, the word nun in Hebrew is noon, which means midnight. That's why they dress in black and white. You know, they are practicing necromancy, which is the worship of a dead spirit. They celebrate a dead man on the cross, not a living man. A cross is a mark of a cemetery. And they celebrate the rising of a dead spirit. Who has a dead spirit? We don't have a dead spirit. So once again, it's a practice of the raising of the dead. This is what they're practicing. So just check out moon astronomy, just check out monastery, and check out the Hebrew word for nun. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Jammers. Jammers, you dropped a slide from a presentation on the screen a short while ago. Did you want to talk to that briefly?
Yeah, okay. Oh, you saw that? Okay, let me just
Yes, it took over the screen, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, but
do what you did before.
Yeah, okay. Well, basically, this is Bobby Wright, and this is what was talked about why our politicians, our pastors, our scientists who've had certification from it, you know, they've endorsed what I was saying earlier. They've endorsed these philosophies that don't relate to us, or there's a flaw in the philosophy that we can't be included in their philosophies because we don't have the dynamics that they've stolen from us. So this is just basically it shows that the salvation of us cannot come from the bourgeoisie or our scientists or politicians, because that through the system they've been brainwashed and they're in awe of Europeans' theory and their theorists. You see, so this is one of the key reasons why, you know, we're taking on their ideas as our ideas, you know, and through passing the certification, if we don't have that separation, then we are an agent for pushing forward their philosophies. You know, I see if I just pull out one more. I can just pull out one more slide to share with you. I just put 1 second. Sorry.
That's okay. While you're doing that, family, I'll put my email in the chat. So if you want to email me your name, I will add you to my email circulation list, and I'll try and make a habit of sending out the links in advance via email when we get restarted again. I'm thinking of restarting probably about the first week in February. You know, I wanted to hear from the ancestors, you know, what the next move should be, but I think I've kind of found it, really. I think this is the format, you know, kind of liking it. So yeah, this may be the way forward. Okay, Brother Jammers, over to you.
Yeah, just showing once again that the world crisis that we're in is direct. This is from Bobby Wright again, can be traced directly to the pathological needs of one group of people, the white race. You know, this is the cause of all of our problems. We have to recognize they're at war. We might not be at war with them, but their whole mission is to be at war with us. And it's never in the history of the universe has the destiny of many been controlled by so few. So that's just what we really have to bear in mind. The whole of this pandemic is all about controlling of resources. You know, they're unbalanced, they're in chaos, and they can't share anything, especially if they don't have the woman spirit in them. You know, they're in competition with their woman. So as long as these people are in control, you know, their whole ethic is about aggression and sex and destruction.
Urugu.
Just just to add, sis, you know, Bobby Wright is one of our brilliant Black psychologists who's gone on to the ancestors.
Yeah.
His work is, as Brother Jammers has pointed out, is well worth latching onto because he holds us Africans who have sold out accountable. He identifies that we have aligned ourselves with them or some of us. And, you know, I'm just want to end by saying this. Until we as Africans can understand and teach ourselves and our children that the white man, the devil, is our enemy, we will never arrive.
True.
Never arrive.
True.
For real. Imagine not knowing who your enemy is. Wow. Wow, we're a real sad state of affairs. Yeah, on closing, Cherry B is saying, I love the female energy lead. Oh, thank you, Cherry B. And she says, I also love how Dr. Abu rises up the female. Nice, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Abu, for that. She says, we need to put the female energy up there and not leave it behind. There is an imbalance, otherwise. I feel some of the problems are due to following patriarchal ways of the Europeans. Absolutely have to agree with that. When I look back on the role of women throughout our history, I mean, we were talking about the Black Madonna, you know, being worshipped, you know, universally almost. The Black woman, you know, as the goddess, the Black woman as the mother of the family, the mother of the nation, you know, the mother, you know, even the African woman. If you spend your money with the African woman, that money is going to end up on the dining room table. That money is going to end up providing food for the family, shelter for the family, you know, clothes on the children's back. So the woman was always revered. If you look at the Venus objects, you know, Venus is, they what, about 20,000 years old, these objects of the African woman, you know, that represents fertility and the goddess and everything else. If you look at those Venus figures, they've taken the heads off of all of them. That's because they didn't like the fact that it was, you know, they were African features. And yes, as we were talking about earlier, thank you, Jammers, is that you? The Pope worshipping the Black Madonna, the Black woman and child. And we understood the importance of family then as well, you know, and we were all about Trinity, you know, there was always the father, the mother and the child. Yes, indeed, the Black Madonna. So where are we now? Malanga says, more days, more power, so much happening, and so we need to learn more. And we're going to learn together, family. And I want to thank all of those of you who have, you know, given credit to the works that we've been doing here over the last 16 months or so. Thank you so much for being with us. I can see some of you have put email addresses in the chat. I'll pick up those email addresses and I will add them to my email list. Thank you for that. So any final word before we close? We are about to close now.
Keep strong, my people. Just keep strong, you know, and stay on the frequency. Stay on the frequency.
Yeah.
Shay.
Ashe, Ashe. Budum family. Thank you all so much. You know, keep it locked so that you know when we're coming back at you, okay? And watch out for Dr. Abu and Jammers as well, because, you know, yes, they might come with something in 2022. Yeah. Sounding good. You Jammer back at
Abarakani.
Yes. Abarigani. Yeah, you Jammer.
Jammers, yeah, respect.
All the time.
You Jammer.
Thank you, everyone.
Respect.
Take care.
Happy New Year when it gets here, whatever the word is in African language. I'm not sure.
Join us on the Big G, galaxyafiwi.net, all day Saturday. It's going to be a blast, it's going to be a party. www.galaxyafiwi.net. Let me put that in the chat actually. Galaxyafiwi.net. Please do join us. It would be great to have your company. Take care, family.
All right, good time.
Have a powerful family.
Yeah,
Stay powerful. Bye for now.